Alright, so we're going to work on cab corners today. The goal is I'm going to unbolt the bed and slide it back just so I've got a little more room to work. I can't get my cutoff wheel in there to cut that old one out, and so I think it'd be a lot easier if I just go ahead and unbolt the bed. It's just 8 bolts, and just slide it back, a few inches, and that way it gives me a little room to work, and once I get the piece in, I have more room to weld it and smooth out some bondo to just be a lot easier to work on. So once I get it cut, once I get the bed moved back and get them cut out, I picked up some coal slag for my little sandblaster, cheap Harbor Freight sandblaster, somewhere over here, right there. Just a siphon feed. So I'll sandblast in there to the back side of the panel. In this part in here, I'll sandblast that just to get it all cleaned up because it's kind of rusty. And then we'll cut out our new panels and weld them in. So let's get started. I think what I'll also do is while I'm messing around with the bed, I'm going to pull this other gas tank out. This add-on tank that somebody put on there. And I'll take that filler neck out, I'll cut a piece of metal, put it in here, and cover up that hole. Weld a piece of metal in behind it, and then bondo over to smooth it out. And then I'll probably go ahead and bondo up the little trim molding holes, a couple of them, because I'm never going to put the trim on it. Take those off. So just try to make this bed a little better than it is. And I need to put a rivet in here. So anyway, let me get busy, and I'll keep y'all updated. Alright, so here's where we are. Got this tank out. It's a pretty neat little tank. Got a little bit of rust on the inside. You can't see down in there. Not like chunky rust, but it looks like some rust, surface rust building up. And it's completely empty. So that's out of the way. We got the bed scooted back, I don't know, maybe 4 inches. Enough room to work in there. Sitting on that brick there. And 4x4. And some brake drums and wood. 4x4. So bed's up. Got room over here. Got the gas lines shielded for when I start cutting and stuff. What I'll probably do is while I've got this off, probably go ahead and replace those 3 fuel lines. Can't really see them. Hang on. Probably go ahead and replace those 3 fuel lines. You can see they look pretty weathered and bad looking. So I'll replace those 3 after I do all this stuff, because I don't want to end up spilling gas. But get those replaced so that I don't ever have to mess with them again, since we're right here and they're easy to get to right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and decide where I want to cut. So yeah, just about ready to start cutting. Use the hoist, engine hoist, to lift the bed up, to slide it back. Worked pretty good. Actually, you can slide it back a little bit now. So, pretty good method there. Might go ahead and fix those a little bit while they're easy to get to. And some of this too. I guess this thing got rear-ended at some point. Must have gotten hit harder on this side. Some of these bolts, 3 of them, see there's a square hole in the bed, and that's how they go in. Man, these things are hard to get off. Some of them stripped out in the bed, the hex. I had to weld the bolt in to keep it from turning. Three of them. So when I lifted it up, I had to lift it up high enough to clear those, because those bolts, you know, are sticking through the others. I was able to pull out, you know. And they need to stay welded because I gotta, you know, it's stripped out. If I ground the weld off, I'd have to weld it back when I go to tighten the bed back up. So just leave them like that. So yeah, I guess that's about it for right now, and let me get busy cutting, I guess. So that's what I use, a little cut off wheel on the cut off tool. And here's how I cut it. We've got, I went straight across the front, up to where I felt like I had good metal, and the sides were good metal. So I didn't go straight across. There's a little, you look, it's got a, this inner part right here kind of curves and gets smaller. So I didn't want to cut all the way up here because this is thicker. The original metal is thicker, plus it's got this rolled edge right here. And so I didn't want to go any, I basically wanted to stop, because my new panel will come all the way to here. You see what I'm saying? Because this strong piece here gets smaller. You know, it goes out towards this way. It curves and goes like that. It gets smaller. So I just wanted to go to the point where this piece gets shorter. So that's how I did that. It doesn't really matter because I'm not the best body man, so I'm not gonna try to butt it up to here. I'm gonna overlap it and weld it, and then bondo it, and you won't see it. So I guess if you were really good body work, you would put them together and then weld the seam up. I don't know, but I'm not that good of a body man, and I don't have a gas set up for my MIG, and this is decently thick metal, but the replacement panels are thinner, so I'll probably overlap an inch or so, and I'll drill a few holes in my replacement panel so I can plug weld it, and then I will weld along the seam, and then I'll grind the welds, you know, to where they're flush, and then bondo it. And so over here, I'm going to grind out this seam sealer here, and I'll probably let the replacement panel come all the way into this seam, and then weld it into the seam, weld it right in the seam, and do it like that. But I think I've cut out as much as I'm going to cut out, and then over here I will just weld it. I'll probably have to cut the full lip, starting right here, cut the full lip off my replacement panel to where it just fits flush along here, and then weld it to the rocker panel right here, right in this little seam. And then I'll just tack it, or spot weld it. Those three or plug weld it, one of the two, I don't know. I may just plug weld it. I do have a spot welder, but still kind of experimenting with it. And it'd be pretty easy just to plug weld these, probably 3 spots. So that's it for this side. Let me go cut the other side out, and I will, once I get the other side out, I'm going to pull the truck out of the shop, and I will sandblast this metal. It's not too bad. I don't think there's any holes in it, so we'll just sandblast it so that it sandblast it and primer it, and we should be good. And I'll plug weld over here too. So alright, so the little sandblaster did a good job. So here's what we've got. We've got some damage. I didn't want to go to sandblast too much because I figured I'd end up with some pinholes, but it's good enough. We've got a little spot blowing out right here, but we can fill that in. Everything else is decent. We'll spray some of that rusty metal primer on here, and it'll go a long time like this. So, but this side's better. No holes or anything. It cleaned up a lot nicer. Got a spot weld right there. It needs to be taken off. And these spot welds need to be ground down. Other than that, we're pretty good. I should have, we'll have the sandblaster out. I should have sandblasted some of this paint off. So I can weld. Didn't think about it at the time, and I already put it up, so we can grind it off. So, pretty good. Oh, worked on this a little bit just to see what. I need to take the grinder and grind this out. It's just too thick. Can't really tell from the back side, but what we'll probably have to do is I'll just grind the. I don't care too much about the bed. I'll probably grind the rust out and bondo back over it. It won't last, but this bed's pretty beat up, so I'm not trying to make it perfect, just make it better. Both panels on it are pretty beat up. So, alright, let's get it moved back in and we'll start trimming our replacement panels. Alright. I guess I need to turn the music off. Alright. So, kind of waiting for this primer to dry. Once it dries, I can get started on this, I'll have to grind off some paint. But I pretty much got the panel ready to go. I'm overlapping about an inch, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill some holes in here, so I can plug weld it to here, and then I'll weld along this seam. What I did is I set the old, the piece I cut out, I set it down in here, and so I was able to see, and I just laid some masking tape along the edge of the old one, and then I just cut and left the masking tape, so it left the width of the masking tape, so it follows the same angle and everything that I cut the piece out, and it's just extra. Then when I laid it up there, I had to notch out this, because this will be the part that lays in here. So fits pretty good. What I may do, let me put a couple rivets in there so I can grind the rivets out and weld up the hole. And that would suck it up. Put one here, one there, and on the other side, and maybe one or two. I don't know. We'll see. This is almost dry. Once it's dry, I have to grind off a couple spots where I can plug weld it. But I'll go ahead and drill my holes here. That way I can see where I need to Alright. Let's get it on there. Alright, like I said, no gas set up on my MIG, and let's see, somewhere on here, oh, there it is, show you something. So, on here, we're running inner shield 211 MP. So 211 MP, and of course no shielding gas. So you can run it on B because it doesn't weld very well on A, but it was burning through on B, so I had to weld with it on A. And it does not weld very well. It does weld. It just doesn't flow real well. So here's what I've got after grinding it down. I did some plug welds. Another one. Plug weld, plug weld, plug weld, plug weld, plug weld, plug weld. So I plug weld all those, and then I welded along the seam, and it burnt through here, and I kept building it up. Got a little hole right there I noticed after grinding it. There must have been a little bit of rust still in here. I must not have went quite high enough, but I'll hit that with the welder and then grind it back down, weld up that little hole, and then welded it in there, trimmed this out too much, the panel, and I should have, because I couldn't get it to fit quite in there right, but it's in there. I had to fill in with some weld. And I still need to grind some more, but the panel's in place, and it's pretty good. I've got it ground down to where there's not really a lip anymore. You know, the weld is kind of filling it. Of course, if you put some paint on it, it'd look awful. But put some bondo on it, and then some paint, and it'll look good. So, this side, pretty much done, except for needing to bondo it, but the panel itself is in. I weld up that little spot, and I think we're going to call it quits for tonight. I'm pretty tired, and it's getting pretty late, and I don't feel like starting on the other side. Anyway, thanks for watching.